This is Graham George for KCOU. Last week, Sadie Tanner and I had the chance to sit down for a conversation with Bridget St. John, a legendary folk musician from the UK who's playing the Sanctuary Showcase for True False this year.
Are you excited to come to Columbia?
I've never been to Missouri and certainly never been to Columbia, so it's all new. That's great.
Yeah, it's a very far away land from the East Coast for sure.
Well, I've been to the West Coast, so it's not as far as that.
That's true. Yeah.
I think
Jinx.
it's more temperate too than going out to LA.
So what exactly led you to want to play at True False? Or did you see yourself doing this even a couple months
I
ago?
didn't even know about it. Em contacted me, and then we met up in New York because she said she explained that it was a film festival, but that you put performers on before each film, and I just thought that was really cool. And I said, "Tell me more." And she said, "Actually, I live in New York, so maybe we could meet up." So we spent, I don't know, an hour and a half, and I live on the Upper West Side in Manhattan, so we met at I tried to find a place that wasn't too crowded and too noisy, because there's loads of coffee shops, but you can't hear yourself, or have any kind of privacy. So Paris Baguette has this little room, fairly big room actually, upstairs, and so could just hang there. So it's good.
That's perfect. Yeah. Nice nook.
We were curious to know how you find new music to listen to, if you use streaming platforms like Spotify or Apple Music, or if you find some kind of avenue to find out about what's happening that's new in the music scenes nowadays.
I don't really like the idea of Spotify. I think it's screwed most musicians. And
Yeah.
it's not, I mean, I use the free portion of it. If somebody says you can listen to this on Spotify, then I'll specifically go and listen to that. But I'm definitely not looking for my music there, because I don't like people suggesting to me what I might like just because I chose to listen to one thing. It's like, I'm not up for that. So I listen to the radio still. So
we love to hear that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really important. My husband's in a nursing home, so I have like a 2-hour drive each way when I go there. So I have the radio on, and sometimes it's kind of random what station I'll listen to. WFMU is one of them. However, they never play John Martin. They never play Nick Drake. They never play. They never play a lot of music that I really like. So I listen to them, but I think it's almost like they kind of have a playlist. Not as bad as the BBC in the old days, but I do think they have a kind of, which is fine. It's their choice. So then I'll flip around, and sometimes it's a Spanish station. Spanish music can be amazing. Bass playing is extraordinary. It's really different. And what else? My daughter listens to a lot of music, and then will say, "You got to hear this," or "You got to hear that." I was I was down in Florida because my sister-in-law died, and I'm the executor. So I was in a store, and they were playing this song. They were playing the radio or streaming or something, and I said, "What is that song?" And it was in French, and she had that app where you can tell someone what. And it's this track called M. Sorry, BAM, BAM, BAM. And it's in French. It's a fabulous song.
Oh my gosh, I'll have to make a note of that.
The singer's name begins with M, but with the letter M, and if you type in BAM, it'll lyrics or something like that. So it's not just Brooklyn Academy of Music or something.
Yeah.
But it's a great song. So it's kind of random how I find it, or someone. Well, like Em said, the people that will play before me, she sent me a link to their Bandcamp. So then I'm listening to. I don't mind exploring Bandcamp,
Yeah,
So
I love Bandcamp.
It's not like one thing. And having said that, there's millions of things I've never heard, because there's so much to hear, And sometimes I get lost in YouTube too, I'll type in something a video I want to see, and then all the suggestions are there, and I go, "Oh, that looks interesting," or it doesn't. I don't know.
That's great. I like some of my favorite songs I've heard in like grocery stores and like places just
Yeah, just
over the
because
intercom
it's a song
speakers.
that you don't really tune into what's playing in a grocery store
Mhm.
until it's something you go, wow, what is that? And then you
Yeah.
really pay attention, and
Yeah.
that's a great way to find things.
Well, aside from how you find your music and just things of that nature, I guess we were kind of curious about, some of your music, obviously. Are you working on anything like ex that you're excited about right now? It doesn't even have to be music. Like if you have like, I don't know, like any art or just anything that you've been working on that you're like excited about.
Well, I am working on some music, so I've got like two things going. Last April, I did a tour in California with Evie Sands,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm.
so I opened for her band. However, her keyboard player played with me on some of my songs, and then I sang with her on a couple of her songs, and then the band played on a couple of my songs. So it became this sort of collaborative thing, and we decided to record four tracks, two of mine, two of hers, before I left in the end of April. So that's still in progress, but I think it's going to be very cool. So
That's
and the
so
things I've
exciting.
recorded, mine are things I've recorded before, but it's very different. And we're going to redo If You've Got Money, and
Oh.
it's coming out really well. So it just got some more things to add and then mix and stuff. And then last July, I had the keyboard player come out to New York, and we started my new album, which is definitely in the birthing stages at the moment, and so I'm really figuring out what other colors I want, or some I maybe want to take out. I'm not sure yet, but that's hopefully going to come out in the autumn. So
Oh wow. That's perfect. I feel like your music really lends itself to like that season.
it's my favorite season.
Maybe it's because I'm thinking of the autumn lullaby, but you
But
know.
it definitely, I wrote a two-line poem. Autumn is my season. I am bound to fall. And you can take
Oh.
that however you want to. But yeah,
Oh, that's great. I'm gonna put that on the fridge.
But that's
That's
so exciting to
yeah.
hear that you're working on new music to be released
yeah,
soon.
yeah. I mean, I have a lot of stuff, and it's sort of like, if not now, when,
Of course.
I probably only have 20 years left, so I better get moving.
No better time than the present.
Exactly.
Yeah,
That's all we have, actually. So
true.
on with
True.
it.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, well, that's such big news. That's awesome.
I was curious to ask about how you feel about playing the Sanctuary Showcase in particular, since it's in this wonderful church setting in Colombia. And I read in some past interviews that you did that you kind of came up playing rock clubs primarily in England.
Well, I, I guess a more accurate thing is I did not play a lot of folk clubs, and I did a lot of the college circuit, which doesn't exist in the same way now. It was so different and wonderful and creative back then. And now I think that I don't know if colleges have budgets for big music programs anymore, but they did. I mean, I saw Little Richard in Sheffield
Wow.
University um, hall that it's kind of like a cafeteria, really, but they made it had a stage, and I saw Ike Tina Turner there, and
Oh my
just really,
gosh.
really creative things. So
Yeah.
I did a lot of college stuff, starting in probably 1969. And I also did Les Cousins, which is a was a music club as opposed to a folk club. I mean, there were a lot of guitar players there, and singer songwriters, but I don't think people would classify it as a folk club. And then I did concerts with other rock artists, yeah, like David Bowie and Deep
Yeah.
Purple and Jethro Tull, and
Ugh.
very, very, very unusual pairings. Let's put it that way. Especially then, I used to sit on a chair and basically, focusing on getting this music played as opposed to you know, being able to relate particularly to people who were listening to me. And then these big bands would come on. The only time that didn't work was they put me on opening for the Groundhogs, which was like a three-piece power trio that had a hit single. And as soon as I walked on stage with my guitar, it was like, groundhogs, groundhogs. And they didn't stop the whole way through. They just didn't stop. It was like, and I get it. They love this band.
But it's like, what am I, chopped liver?
No, I didn't
Oh.
even think that. I played maybe 5 or 6 songs, and then I went, okay, you got it. There's no point. I can't hear me. You can't hear me. Why am I doing this? So. But I wasn't upset. It was another experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny though. That's a funny anecdote.
Right. I mean, I'm sort of grateful that I had the opportunity to open for many people that I would not have put me together with. Like now, if I looked at their music, oh no, I don't think that's going to work. But mostly it did. So yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's so cool to hear. I also would never have thought Deep Purple on a
I
bill
mean,
for the same
it
job.
wasn't just Deep Purple and me opening. It was other acts. It's like not exactly a festival, but it was a long evening of different music. So
Time to adjust.
yes.
We were curious to hear more about your start as a musician and what might have been a motivator for you to get into music as a professional gig instead of something like a hobby or a more kind of quiet creative outlet.
So it's kind of two questions really. Like, how did I start? In terms of, I mean, as a child, I've always loved music, and my father told me I was humming the melody to Greensleeves when I was 2.5. I mean, it was just, but it just sort of, it's my language, if you like. And so I always loved music. I played piano till I was 11, and then I retired because I didn't like being told how to hold my hands. And I just like to feel music. And yes, if I can play it, great, but don't make me focus on all this stuff. So then my parents said, I said, I want a guitar. And it was like, no, but you can play another instrument. And so I chose viola because everybody played violin, but not many people played viola. But then I would try and play it like this, like just hold it like a guitar. And my teacher was very cool and told my parents after 2 years, this is not her instrument. She gave me her father's old banjo without any strings on. But I mean, she kind of recognized where I wanted to go. And then I said, I want a guitar. No, you don't have a guitar, but you have to play something else. So I tried trumpet for 2 years because I thought that was pretty cool, but it was so hard.
Yeah.
And we have the embouchure is everything. And so anyway, by then I was nearly out of school, and my grandmother had given me 20 pounds, and I went and bought myself a guitar. And my best friend at the time, and still my dear friend, her first boyfriend actually could play some guitar and showed me, like, I guess 3 chords. That was enough to start with. And that took me months of just trying to change and figure it out and all of that. So that's my start. But and then when I went to Sheffield University, I took my guitar with me, of course. And I was really lost when I got there. I was not a good student in school, but I did really well in my final exams because I think I didn't care because I wasn't going to go to university. And then 2 universities said, well, you can come here. So but I got there and didn't really know where to go or anything, and then saw theater group, and I had done theater at school. I mean, we did the Shakespeare competition. It was always Shakespeare that we acted, and but I related to that. So I showed up at the green room with my guitar, and that was sort of my first home, and other people knew how to play guitar. And, I would try and copy a song, and they go, no, the chords are wrong. I'm going, I know, but I can't read music, so I'm just trying to find the chord, Anyway, they actually gave me my first sort of performance. They did a theatrical review, And so there would be scenes from things. And then they said, well, you can play one song. So I actually played Lazarus, the song I learned from Buffy St. Maria. It's not actually, it's a spiritual, but anyway, that was my first sort of performance there. And then I did a few other things whilst I was there. And by the time I graduated, I was like, this is what I want to do. You know, I mean, it's just something I didn't have a plan. My father grew up in the Salvation Army with nothing and became a doctor through very, very hard work and wanted the best for his three girls. So I have older and younger sisters. So for me to say I'm going to play music, well, how are you going to make money? I'm going, I don't know, but I will. You know, like, it's really terrifying for him, you know. And for the first, I don't know, maybe 4 years, I lived in their house and paid them 10% of whatever I made, which was not a lot, but that was the agreement, 10% of what I made. So I contributed a little bit, and then things sort of took off from there, you know. So many people helped me, really. This guy, Pete Roach, who worked with the Liverpool Poets, I don't know if that means anything to anyone now, but they were a group of Roger McGough, Adrian Henry, Brian Patton. They were a whole group of poets. And he was getting poets for John Peel's Night Ride program. And that's how I got to be on that program. And before that, John Martin, who I had met in 1967, he made it possible for me to make a demo for the BBC, because you can't just walk in and say, play my music. That a board of people would have to listen to your music and decide if it was okay for the BBC to even have you there, you know.
Oh, wow.
So I made that tape at Al Stewart's because John was friendly with Al, and Al had a Revox, and so I made my first demo there, and that got vaguely approved by the BBC. They didn't think it was very exciting, but they thought it was okay. So from there, John took me on some DJ gigs, you know, and got me other gigs, and you know, and then I got an agency, Black Hill Enterprises. So that's the beginning. You don't want my whole autobiography, I'm sure.
No, it's great. And it seemed to have worked out well. So,
yeah, and I've always I recognize that most artists have to do other things to pay bills, you know. So I've pretty much always done that as well, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Do you have like a particular like odd job that you like remember like to this day, like, or like a favorite one?
Okay, so I used to work at Kenny's Castaways, is now defunct, but was a really famous Greenwich Village nightclub. So I played there many times, but I started off waitressing there, and I was no good at that. And so then I worked in the kitchen, which was fine. And then I bartended, and then I ended up doing sort of the other side, like managerial stuff. So I did that for about 13 years. And then when I stopped working there, I decided I really didn't want to take work home with me, even actually or in my head.
I hear that. Yeah.
I houses for a year, which was not my favorite job, but it's a very freeing job to do, because as long as you clean well, you've done your job and you leave, and you're not going, oh, why didn't I do this or that, or I have to take this home to write, you know, whatever, do something with it. But after a year, that got like, okay, I'm ready to do something. So I worked for this friend who's now a really good friend, Chinese Malaysian artist, Eng Tay, doing, you know, helping him with sort of the bookwork side of things. And then what else? I worked in my friend's mother's, the last printing trade school in New York in the early 90s. So I worked there for a little bit. And then I started basically getting my own work, organizing people. Like my first job was actually the headmistress of my daughter's first school, and she needed her basement organizing and sort of clearing up. So I did that. And then she said, oh, that's really good. I've got another friend who needs X. And so it was all word of mouth for years, you know, and mostly much older people, my elders and wisers, as I call them. You know, I learned a lot. I learned a lot. Sometimes I would come home and go, I never want to have this amount of accumulation of stuff. And definitely now I'm going, I'm never going to read these books. I'm going to give them away rather than sit and look at them knowing I'm never going to read them. So it's just learning how to kind of declutter. But
Yeah.
and I worked, for lots of years. So I think it was like 17 years with one elderly lady till she moved out to Michigan. And then I worked with a master acting teacher, Michael Howard, in New York, in Brooklyn. And, all these people became sort of like family to me, not just a job. But yeah. So.
Mm. You were like jack of all trades. This is so like,
I think I'm very I'm good at pivoting when something doesn't work out. It's like, okay, so what do we do now?
yeah.
And you have to put food on the table and pay your rent and electric bill and things like that. So
Yeah.
it's just, yeah.
You mentioned that you had a younger sister and an older sister. Does that make you the middle child?
It certainly does.
I'm also a middle child, so I my ears perked up when you said that, and
I'm the
yeah.
quote unquote different one. Yeah.
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 Oh.
Both my sisters, what they still do, play piano. Like they got eighth grade, which is the highest grade you can do when you take those exams, and both really, really good pianists. And I mean, for fun. But my sister, that's sort of her solid. My younger sister, her solid. Like, I'm going to play piano now. And so,
Yeah.
but I don't think she ever had any desire to like perform as such. But she sings in choirs. They both do, actually. Lots of
Sounds
music
like
in my family.
I was gonna say it sounds like you have a really musical
Well,
family, musical
my mom
background.
played fantastic piano. Amazing.
Oh.
She died quite young. She died when I was 32 years old. So
Mm.
she was. I think again that was her sort of refuge, was playing music. She went to Oxford University, and basically a lot of the skills and sort of talents that she had were put aside to raise a family, and look after a household. And as I've gotten older, I think about that and I go, God, it must have been awful for her, really. Not that we were always awful, but that her life was, rich in many things, but very limited in her being able to be creative. I I wish I I think when your parent dies, when you're in a very selfish stage of your life, which I think in your 30s, you're really just, it's about me. I got to do this and I want to do that. And I'm playing this and I'm writing that. And I was in America when she died. So it's just, but now I wish I'd asked her so many things, or acknowledged what I feel she might have felt. Anyway.
No, this is like great like life advice. I mean, one of the things that we had meant to ask you was like for our generation, like if you had to give like a piece of advice or if there's something that you feel is like really important for like people that are our age in college and in our 20s, like to know, like what would that be, I guess? Or like if there's multiple things. I
Yes,
don't know.
well,
We're all just looking
I think if you're if
for
you're a music,
advice.
if you're a musician or wanting to do something in music, I would say just focus on the work. Don't think about the result. You cannot affect how people are going to react to your music. You can't make people like what you do. So you have to love what you do and do it, with a good mind, with a good heart, and not think about. I mean, I do believe there are some artists that have a goal and they achieve it. For the first time, I actually watched the Taylor Swift Eras tour thing.
Mm.
She's amazing.
Yeah.
But she's such a different musician to me. I couldn't conceive of conceiving of all those things that she did. She's phenomenal. And she has always had that goal, I think, of working for other people, meaning her audience, but at the same time, it's all for her. And I think she can affect the result, actually. But I think it's very rare that can happen. I mean, she's one in a few, right? I think that's possible, has been possible for. So, I mean, that's one thing I would say. Just and also, if you're going to play music, just go out and play, and you won't love what you do the first time around because you're learning, and just keep learning and listen to what other people are giving you back, whether it's actually telling you or just in the. I think when you play, you know when something has affected an audience. With experience anyway. I mean, I would say at the beginning, I was just so terrified of messing up, or something like that, that I wasn't so aware of that. But I know now I can. This is like nearly 60 years later, right? Now I can feel when what I'm putting out there is connecting, I suppose is the word. Yeah. So, but that's just sort of for musicians,
Mhm.
for life. I think we're here to help each other first of all. I don't think, and I think that's something to bear in mind. Whether there were things that we had to do in school uniform that I'm grateful that we had to do. We had to always hold the door for the person behind us, or at least look and make sure there wasn't somebody behind us. We would always give up our seat to somebody older than ourselves out of respect. And I think all of that is pretty much gone now, certainly in New York. It's like,
Yeah.
there are signs, please give this seat to this age. When you see these really fit young people, not even
Yeah.
aware that because they're on their phone and they're listening, and then they've shut themselves off from
Yeah.
everything around them. And that's another thing I would say is shut off your cell phone when you go outside. There's a glorious world out there. Even if it's a blizzard, it's a glorious world, and experience what you are in that present moment. I live on the ground floor, so I watch people walk their dogs. And there are hundreds of dogs in this building, maybe not hundreds, but nearly 100. And they're on their phones waiting for their dog to poop or pee, and then they take them back inside. They're not present in this lovely moment. This is Andy, sorry. And it really, it's very sad though. I started writing this song, and I don't know if I'll ever get it done, but it starts off, listen to me with your whole face. I'm talking to you with both eyes. I'm holding you tight in my thinking. You are lost in your social disguise. And I mean, the phone is your social disguise, right? And
Yeah.
and it makes me so sad, so I don't know if it'll go beyond that. So anyway, so what else? I don't know. There are so many things that will occur to me after talking to you.
Yeah.
I think the most thing is try to be a good person, try to be kind. I think be kind is, if you see somebody in trouble, at least see if there's something you can do. And if I don't know, I mean, I can't help every homeless person, right? So I have this thing of I always have a $5 bill in my pocket, and I'll give it to somebody who asks for money. And at least I've given him the possibility of eating as opposed to a quarter or a dollar, which doesn't get anyone anything. And then they've got to ask another person. So at least I've helped one person a little bit. And every now and then, someone will ask for money for food, and they're outside a restaurant, and I'll just go, "Well, what do you want?" And they go, "I'd like this." I said, "Come on, let's go in, and I'll buy it." And of course, it's much more than my $5, but I don't really care. It's like you watch streams of people just not even looking to left or right because they don't want to see what's actually there and going on, and so the little bit that you can do it.
Yeah.
I guess.
Everyone's so like isolated.
I know, I
People
know.
don't talk to each other anymore. It makes me sad too.
And you go out to dinner and you see a young couple and they're both on their phones. And if they're
Oh, that's the
texting each other,
worst.
why go out and spend money on a
Waste of
meal?
a dinner.
And if you're not
Yeah.
texting each other, why are you even together?
Yeah.
It's crazy. The whole thing is people hate me because I don't look at my phone all day long. If I go see my husband, it's with me. And I'll know there was a ping, right? And when I have time, I'll look at it. But I'm not like, oh, sorry, I got to just look and see what that was. And half
Yeah.
the time, it's someone I don't know. Just
Right.
randomly calling me or something.
Yeah. And you don't remember like being on your phone. Like anytime I've ever scrolled on anything, it's like I get off it and I can't remember what I've just looked at. And so it's like, what's the
Good
point?
lesson.
Yeah.
That's the other thing. I go on the internet to look at my Gmail, and then someone else's Gmail will be there, and I'll forget why I went on because I'm distracted. There's so many distractions. It's pretty terrible. For me anyway, I should really write a list. I am going to look for this, and then refer to my list so I don't get, an hour later go, oh, why did I come on here? Yeah.
So we were wondering, like, I guess through all these people that you've mentioned that you like are close with and know, like, do you believe that there is sort of like a supernatural like aspect in how you meet people and how people come into like your life, and like why people come into your life, like sort of like an invisible string situation, or do you just believe in anything supernatural at all?
Yeah.
I think I would call it the universe because it's all unknown, isn't it? In terms of actually studying what happens, it's not possible. But yeah, I believe that things happen randomly, but they're not probably that random at all. But I don't really care to explore why. You know what? I'm not gonna spend my time studying why. It's just I accept that it will happen. I mean, a bit like saying, "Will you come play in Missouri?" It's like, wow, where did that come from? But I think what you put out there comes back, in different ways.
Yeah.
Well, we're so excited to have you in Colombia and to see you
Thank you.
perform.
Yeah, I wish we could
We
talk all day. This has been awesome.